Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be reviewing She-Hulk episode 8, which is called Ribbit and Rip It. Now, this episode has some things going for it, but on the whole, it has a lot of issues with it as well. And I guess my issues with it are, well, a little bit of a different issue than what I normally have with these episodes. So I will say that overall, episode 7, episode 8 do seem to have toned down the random man hate for every, guy out there. It seems like it's much more targeted at people who are villains, which is fine, right? They're targeting people who are bad guys and saying, yeah, we don't like these guys. Great, I don't have a problem with that. You're not supposed to like the bad guys, right? They're supposed to be reprehensible. So this is a nice departure from the just general man-hating that went on, which was way over the top, way too much. And there were rumors that this was going to be toned down, and it has been toned down. The other improvements in this episode would be around pacing, I think. There's a lot more pacing and action. There's a lot of action, actually, in this episode. And of course, we get Daredevil in the episode. So on the whole, I think this is an episode that is, it's a better episode. I kind of wish this is what we were seeing all along, right? This is kind of what I expected this show to be. This is like the bare minimum. This is what episode 2 should have been like. Now, maybe not this specific plot, but episode 2 should have been much closer to this, where there's a little bit of legal stuff. She has to do some things. Right? And maybe not even episode 2, but definitely episode 3 on should have all been like this. It starts off with, of course, this superhero Ribbit, so disclaimer again, fucking spoilers ahead, right? Again, we start off with this guy Ribbit, who is, some kind of C-tier superhero, if you will. He's not very good. And then he has a mishap with his gear, and you can see that he's actually suing over that. So let's see what that was all about.
Funny enough, I actually read the op.
The store might be closed, but you forgot about the guard frog.
So, your defective suit?
Right. So I was surrounded by these huge guys.
Twisting toe jam!
Although I was outnumbered, I could tell that they were afraid of me. So, in order to de-escalate the situation, I shouted my signature catchphrase.
Time to ribbit and rip it!
Next thing I know, my inflammable suit with a 900-degree threshold is on fire. And you guessed it, I have third-degree burns all over my legs. I deserve justice and compensation for all of my pain and mental anguish and stuff.
Well, this does seem to be a pretty clear case of manufacturer's defect, negligence, strict liability, and breach of warranty.
Yes?
I do believe you are owed compensatory damages.
Yeah!
Okay, so right off the bat, she just believes him. We don't get any bit of her asking questions. Well, first things first is he's got rocket engines on his suit. You'd be asking about them, about whether or not there's a maintenance plan, whether he's following that maintenance plan, whether there's any kind of warranty on them. I mean, I know that's kind of all the boring stuff, but, and they just sort of glossed over it. From the top, this is one of my big issues, all right? Why I thought the episode was garbage. And that is because of the fake tension and the setup, right? The things that happen in this, especially the lack of the basic questions. She's supposed to be a lawyer. She's supposed to be a really good lawyer. I mean, Jen is a good lawyer, but she didn't even do any kind of basic questions. Did you follow the manufacturer's instructions, right? Honestly, when you see the court scene, you're going to be thinking, wow, she looks like an absolute idiot. And I don't know, they're portraying her as basically incompetent in this scene, in my opinion. And I gotta wonder, does that mean the show writers are now misogynistic? Because they're the ones that are portraying her with this level of incompetence.
Wait, does that mean I don't get a new suit?
Sit down.
But look at this thing. So how am I supposed to wear this?
Mr. Patilio, what kind of fuel did you use in your boosters?
Jet fuel.
Wait a minute, you used jet fuel in your boosters? Because that's not what my instructions said.
What?
No, I didn't.
If the plaintiff ignored the manufacturer's explicit instructions, then the defendant is absolved of all liability. I'm dismissing this case.
This is just ridiculous. Okay, so look, there's a certain suspension of disbelief that you can achieve in a show. But for me to suspend disbelief in this instance, and it's just not believable. That's my problem with this episode entirely. It's not with the CG. It's not with the storyline or the pacing or any of that. I mean, actually, all that stuff's pretty good. The problem with it is the premise, the setup, that she can't even do her fucking job. Like, go through the basic facts of, did you follow the manufacturer's instructions? Right? That's the first thing you do in a case like this. That's basic, super basic. Up to this point, Jen Walters has been portrayed as a phenomenal lawyer, and now she's basic level incompetence. This is ridiculous. I just can't suspend disbelief to this magnitude. But there's another scene with Luke where she had an opportunity to discuss this with him, and even that is, again, not written in a way that I find believable.
Yes. Well, Luke, I am here under some unpleasant business. I have been retained by a client who suffered serious injuries due to a dysfunctional suit that you sold him. Now nothing has been filed, so I think we can come to some agreement.
So here she just claims that the suit is dysfunctional. She doesn't actually know that it is. I mean, this is something that she needs to. They basically need to file the suit. They need to go through discovery. They need to get the information. And she's trying to basically claim, the suit was defective and you should just settle with us. And honestly, I kind of understand Luke's reaction on this portion of Jen's approach. Doesn't seem to be believable for someone who's supposed to be a good lawyer.
How dare you? I've never made a defective suit in all my life. My work is impeccable.
Oh, obviously, I know that firsthand, and trust me, I'm not happy to be doing this.
I'm not trusting you after you just lumbered in here and stabbed me in the back.
Oh, well, there's no lawsuit yet, and there won't be if you just take some responsibility for some of my clients' injuries.
I do not make suits that malfunction. My work speaks for itself.
So she's actually saying, well, yeah, I know you make good quality stuff. It's like she's trying to establish what really happened, but she just went about it the completely wrong way. Honestly, like, the way you phrase this is, my client claims his suit was defective. We need to get to the bottom of this. Not just accuse Luke of making a defective suit. Like, no wonder he's acting like this. He's right in acting like this. He's right to be offended. He takes pride in what he produces. He produces high quality, garments specifically targeted at superheroes. So, but also I would say, like, it's a little weird then that, again, like, going back to one of the previous episodes, that Luke made a suit for Ribbit, for this leapfrog guy, but had no idea who She-Hulk was and wasn't sure if he wanted to take her as a client. I mean, he's talking about, like, not taking an S-class superhero, but he makes suits for C-class superheroes. Pretty sketchy in my opinion. That doesn't scan for me either. So in this case, Jen comes across again as being, basically a pompous ass, right? She's demanding compensation. She's not offering to discuss this, actually, not trying to get to the bottom of it, just making claims. We never cover, like, the who, what, when, where, and why with Luke. Maybe if she had approached it a different way, Luke could have approached it a different way. Like, instead of her making claims that his suit was defective, she could have simply said, the suit malfunctioned, and it did. My client doesn't want to have to go, the route of a lawsuit, but he thinks that maybe the suit was defective. So can we get to the bottom of this? I just don't, I find it difficult to believe that Jen would approach this problem this way. Like, this is just, it's just so irritating to watch this. And again, to try and suspend your disbelief. This is all just terrible writing to get to the action, which is, I mean, I don't have a problem with the action. I have a problem with the setup. Why they can't get all of this together, I don't know. But the writing is all over the place on this show. All right, next I think let's go and drop in on the fight scene between Daredevil and She-Hulk. And I think this whole fight scene kind of pointless, and the reason why is because she's having this fight with Daredevil, not realizing who he is, after he gives this really sort of eloquent and very well articulated arguments in court. But then, for whatever reason, he can't bother just to say, like, hey, why are you fighting me? Your guy here kidnapped someone.
You need to back off. You're making a mistake.
You made a mistake when you messed with my client. Because now I'm gonna whoop your ass.
My ass remains unwhooped.
Where are you going? We're not done.
You're very persistent, aren't you?
You're very annoying. Come on! Gotcha.
Whoa, Jet.
Matt?
Wait, why were you attacking my client?
Leapfrog is the bad guy here. He kidnapped Luke Jacobson. He's holding him hostage.
I'm not saying I didn't enjoy a little bit of a fight scene between She-Hulk and Daredevil. Okay, we all enjoy, this fight scene between the two, square off against each other. Essentially, any enjoyment that we actually get out of it is undone the moment it stops and we think about it and go, yeah, like this is completely absurd and never should have even happened in the first place. So a lot of issues with the setup for each section of the plot to get to the next section, though. They just aren't believable. They don't make sense. They portray an articulate Daredevil as being incapable of literally uttering 3 basic simple phrases that it only takes him 3 seconds to utter. While he's, coming back with witty quips, he could have simply avoided all of this by saying what he said at the end of this. How hard is that to say? Like, all of this could have been avoided, but then of course we wouldn't have gotten to see the fight, which all of this is just a really lame excuse to shoehorn a fight scene into this between Daredevil and She-Hulk. Now, what I did enjoy later on was them working together, the witty banter back and forth during the sort of confrontation with Leapfrog and his henchmen or goons, and the whole back and forth about what's a henchman versus what's a goon. I mean, all that stuff was good. So overall, I'm not saying it was a bad episode. This was, again, a promising episode that I think the writing and the writers just continue to fail us on this show. This is much closer to the kind of show that we wanted to see all along, that we wanted to see starting either in episode 2 or 3. It's a very action-driven show, finally. So that is a good thing, but the setup is just too unbelievable. There's some really bright spots in this episode, and those highs are very high, and I think they're very good. And there's some devastating lows in this episode, and they're completely unbelievable, and they undermine the entire this particular episode. So that's why I think this episode actually has really high ratings with the 7.9. Finally, we get to see some action, but for me, the fact that it's just not believable, all the setups are not believable, it just ruins the whole experience for me. And I would say, from the standpoint of the things that we've been missing and wanting from this show delivers. From the standpoint of the things that have been problematic with every episode so far, lots of use of convenient plot MacGuffins that are unbelievable. It's the same thing here. And we're just not getting overall a show that we can sit down and enjoy and suspend our disbelief and get all the way through it. So that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want to continue to support the channel and smash the narrative, then please smash the like, share, and subscribe buttons. and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.